It's all about Survival Saturday here in Atlanta, Georgia for the 2022 Atlanta Open. This is our first Gold Series event of the season, and man, is it shaping up to be a phenomenal one. We can't wait to get into the stadium court action as it's time for some contenders bracket matchups. Hi everyone, I'm Cameron Irwin alongside Dane Blanton, and this one, it could get interesting. We have a couple legends out there, a couple Olympians to say the least. Johnny Hyden's out there along with David Lee. What's the expectation for these two?
Well, they know each other well. You want to battle. Obviously, Hyden's been playing on the beach for a lot longer than David Lee, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We're seeing so many indoor players convert their game to the beach, but we got our work cut out for us. After that rain delay yesterday, we got a ton of matches, but it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, without a doubt. So let's get to Mr. Mark Sherman because it's time to get introduced to all four of our athletes here in Atlanta. One team will be moving on. One team will be heading home. Over to Mark Sherman.
Yep, welcome back in, everybody. It is time for Survival Saturday. It is now win or go home. Really, really sad. And none of these four guys want to do that. So let's meet the teams and let's get it kicked off, shall we? This first guy led his Loyola Ramblers to 2 national championships back in 2014 and 2015. Let me hear it out of Newport Beach, California, Mr. Cody Caldwell. And his partner led his team, USA, to a couple of Olympic medals. You know, the thing about David Lee in the middle, he just always seemed to be in the spot he needed to be. And the spot where he needs to be now is right here on the sands of the AVP in Atlanta. Let me hear it for David Lee. And their opponents, this first guy out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Cincinnati Christian University. If you don't find him here on the sands, he's just going to be chilling in the lobby, just getting the AC, just studying, focused, dialed in for his next match. Let me hear it for Logan Weber. And his partner, ladies and gentlemen, Ironman played in his first AVP back in 1972. Or that's when you were born, I guess. He was born in, so you played like 2001 was maybe your first AVP. Out of San Diego, California, the 13-time AVP winner, it's Johnny Hyden.
So a couple Olympic veterans out on the sand facing off against one another. So let's get to it. You got the introductions from Mark Sherman. I'm Cameron Irwin alongside Dane Blanton. Cody Caldwell and David Lee got a victory in Atlantic City to get into this tournament. So they're sitting at that 15th seed. So fun to have them here. And the number 10 seed, Hyden and Weber. That's Logan Weber out of the great state of Michigan. Found quite a vet to play alongside. John Hyden gets us started. 49 years young. Moving like he's 15. There's John Hyden.
Defying all the odds, John Hyden has been competing for some time. I remember actually training with him all the time at State Beach in Santa Monica, and always took care of his body, always ready to go, always controlling the controllables, and it's so fun to watch him at 49 years of age competing with these youngsters.
That's a phenomenal save from Caldwell. David Lee now in the backcourt. One of the great minds in beach volleyball is John Hyden. If you want to learn a few things, head on over to Franklin, Tennessee. He's got a beach volleyball academy out there. Logan Weber sure taking a few things. I'm from the great John Hyden.
Nice job.
Logan Weber competed at Cincinnati Christian University, 6'7" and just 26 years old. If you lost track of the score, just ask him. He's got a degree in accounting.
Go, Cody, come on.
Cody Caldwell out of Loyola Chicago, two-time national champion. Originally from Newport Beach. My great place right now as David Lee picks up a block. It's recycled back out and snapped quickly down. That's Weber.
Weber with the kill right there. You're talking about Cody Caldwell. I actually had the opportunity to and the pleasure of calling the 2014 Men's National Championship game. It was at Loyola of Chicago. They played Stanford, and he just was dominant. And then Loyola came back a year later in 2015 and won the national championship again, making it back-to-back titles.
He was the most outstanding player in 2014 for the Ramblers. That was their first ever title. David Lee, the three-time Olympian.
Nice set.
It was a great set, but beating his chest is David Lee. We've seen blocks like that for years. You went King Kong right there.
I like that. King Kong, and then a little chest bump, and you know, it was David Lee and Cody Caldwell played Tri Bourne and Trevor Crabb yesterday. The first set, it seemed like they had it, and then they let it slip away, losing 24-22, and Tri and Trevor ended up winning that one. But I think if they could have won that first set, they had some momentum to really make some things happen.
Caldwell's gonna get a look here. Nice delay block there from Weber. He gets a little bit of a Kong there. Couple back-to-back bang-bang plays go the direction of Lee and Caldwell.
Yeah, loving the enthusiasm and the fire from
True.
Cody Caldwell and David Lee early in this one.
Very true, yeah. Coming out here with plenty of emotion, lots of energy. That's what you like to see, especially in some big-time heat and humidity. Just lost track of that one a bit. Got behind his head. Heard you and Rich Lamborn often talking about the toss on the jump serve. Such a critical element.
Yeah, and that last one we saw from Caldwell, little short hop. He couldn't get his hand and get on top of it. So important.
You know, it's interesting because we see so many different styles of serve, right? But what's interesting too is the two different styles from Caldwell even to Weber. Weber has a unique serve too, where he doesn't really even take 3 steps. It's just his last two, a toss and then a gather.
It's like just a step close at the end.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. There's so many different ways to do it, and you want to figure out what you're really comfortable with. Some like to kind of toss the ball as they're jumping. Others like to toss the ball high and then go after it. So it's a matter of training it and figuring out what works best for you.
So when we get a little bit around the horn here, Hyden has the serve, but when we get back to Caldwell as well as Weber, you'll have to identify some of those unique markers as they go back to serve. 6-5 now, Hyden and Weber with the 1-point advantage. Hyden just goes off 1 foot. Heel of hand. From the exterior up and over the top of a 6'7" block. We got some giants out there right now. Cody Caldwell's also 6'6". And you're gonna get a look at a serve.
Yeah, the shortest players, Hyden, who's not short at all. That's 6'5".
It's a little more of your classic jump serve. KG.
That's a really solid shot to the corner. John Hyden has a real great ability to get up and look, and his shots not only are precise, he likes to put them deep in the court. So as a defender, if you don't have that deep line, if you're just going laterally, sideways, you're not going to get those deep corners. You know, we saw that yesterday. Cody Caldwell not afraid to set any ball. I mean, he doesn't care if that thing's 25 feet in the air. He's got some great hands, great patience, waits for that ball, and just dishes to his partner, David Lee.
Waterfall over the top and from his knees, Caldwell. Is it in?
Ooh, that was very close. I don't think it was. I didn't have the perfect angle, but it looked like that ball came across the net inside the antenna, but it was whistled out of bounds, so it's hard to see that angle.
Well, it's funny because David Lee, watch here as he chases this. He actually afterwards looks to the fans sitting right on the railing and asks their opinion. And they said, no, it was just wide. Yeah, I think that was it from the outside the antenna.
Hey! Come on, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. Yes, Dave!
There's some really aggressive calls there in terms of shot selection.
No question about what he's calling, though.
Nope.
Really love that. Articulating, getting it out there, and it was the right call as well. Maybe Caldwell very confident in his calls. It's funny that the back and forth between partners, you always want to try to give your partner a good call and the right call, because if you give a few calls that aren't correct, then you're going to lose that trust. There's the cut call we hear from John Hyden, and Weber responds, and that is the sign of a really good team. Every once in a while you're going to get it wrong, and then you sometimes run into defenders who actually are just listening to the call. That's how they're playing defense. There's so many different kind of cat and mouse ways and strategies to move the chess pieces around the table, but you got to have that trust in your partner's call.
There's those last two steps as that ball falls into the top of the tape. Both teams just feels like settling in, right? Figuring out what's on the other side. This is their first meeting, I believe. That is correct. The first time these two teams are meeting. A little bit of a quick set there.
You want to be careful if you're David Lee over near those digital banners. They are not forgiving for flesh against there. It'll cut you up. We've seen some players. 160th tournament for John Hyden, 13 AVP wins, 6-time playing in Atlanta. He won once, and that was with Sean Scott back in 2009. That was a spectacular season for John Hyden and Sean Scott.
13 titles you mentioned. His last coming in Hermosa.
I don't know the exact age when he won in Hermosa, but
he was 45 years old, 9 months and 22 days.
There you go.
That was back in 2018, his last title.
And that is still the record for the oldest victory. Wow, if he could win again, he'd add some years onto that record.
Currently 49 years old. As they hit the technical timeout, just a 1-point game.
I wonder if he's allowed to play in like the dinosaur.
Ooh,
the
that
Dino.
would be.
I mean, you're still playing full time on the AVP tour, 50 years old. I mean, he'd just be a ringer, right? I think
For years.
I think the rule, what is that, the rule? The combined age needs to be, I believe it's 80.
Yeah, I think that's correct. So they'd be close, the two of them together, as you take a look at set one stats thus far.
Yeah, they would be.
Because 26 and 49, that's pretty close. That'd be a deadly Dino team. The 15 seed and the 10 seed, 13 attacks, 7 total kills for Caldwell and Lee. Both of the hitting efficiencies relatively the same, and it's always interesting when we talk about hitting efficiencies in game beach volleyball. It's a combination of every attack made. One stat that's always one that you want to pay attention to, though, is that side-out efficiency. How often you're siding out, eliminating those runs of points. It's a full day of volleyball here on Saturday, Survival Saturday. Atlantic Station, the first of our Gold Series events. We have 2 more to go. Manhattan Beach just around the corner, as well as Chicago. Closing things off in Phoenix come September. And you gotta love this. This is the top of our stadium court coverage here. What are they watching? Well, we've got 3 courts in action today. Of course, all day long, 12 matches here on stadium court, which means the other 2 courts are going to be full send as well. After yesterday's lightning delay, about 2.5 hours, it is a jam-packed Saturday. No one's complaining here. Cameron Irwin alongside Dane Blanton. Rich Lamborn has joined us throughout the day.
The crazy thing, Cameron, is the weather that we had yesterday, that 3-hour rain delay. I don't know if I've seen rain that heavy in some time. It was flooding our broadcast booth and kicked our schedule back about 3 hours, but that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, got a nice little afternoon nap in there.
Angle.
Throw some stools together and you got a bed made. Here's Hyden.
Let's go.
You saw the 4 call there from David Lee, creating even more of an angle Hyden had to hit.
Yeah, Hyden was not happy with himself. He does not miss shots very often, especially when they're wide open. So it makes him so good at executing wherever it is that he wants to go. That's great command on the ball, great contact.
Great necklaces, too. The man of many necklaces. I remember the first time I met John was in Chicago. Oh, I think it would have been 2016.
I could have waited.
Puka shells were the thing that stood out. 12 all now.
You have puka shells yourself?
In the 8th grade.
Yeah.
John still makes them cool.
Let's go.
Oh, great cut right there. Not a lot of space to get around Weber, and then you had John Hyden playing angle as well, but Caldwell with a beautiful angle. It's not easy right there.
Caldwell's missed a few serves. Let's see what he can find now. Right on the platform of Hyden. Hyden running that pretty quick tempo offense. Quick arm to match.
You're there.
Tough ball into the middle.
Nobody. Line.
Big swing, and Hyden says easy.
Nobody. Come on, Johnny.
What a hit from off the net. John Hyden going at Caldwell. Cannot control that one, so pretty even match so far. I think David Lee and Caldwell came out with a little fire, trying to get a jump on Hyden and Weber, try to maybe score some points and catch him off guard, but that has not been the case. Hyden and Weber have been solid, and Caldwell and Lee, they decided to call a timeout and think about this one.
So they're going to take a second here. That 13-14. The #1 seed going down earlier today, Theo Brunner and Kame Schulk. So they're going to look through the contenders bracket as you look on our 2022 AVP schedule. We mentioned the Gold Series, Manhattan and Chicago, as well as Phoenix come September 23rd and 24th. That's going to be your championship based off your finishes in the Gold Series event. 6 teams, 6 women's, 6 men's teams will be at action. It's an indoor event. So, hey, come on out and see us in Phoenix. Then we'll head to Huntington Beach for a Tour Series event, as well as Clearwater for another. And then Orlando come December. We're playing volleyball all the way into the snowy months.
Early Christmas present.
Take my line.
You didn't know you'd be spending December in Florida, did you?
Hey, I'll take the vacation. I'm all for it. Couple losses, actually, if you think to the men's side. Not only we saw Tryon Trevor take a loss just a match ago to Nick Lucena, as well as Andy Benish. So Kame and Theo, the Taylor gang, Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander also taking a loss yesterday. So quite a bit of parity across the board on the men's side.
Yeah, it's crazy. We were watching, you know, 3 versus 14, and it's like, really? Is this the matchup for the first round?
Yeah.
It's just really deep and a lot of parity, as you said, and at any time, you know, any team can win. We saw, what was it, 7 versus 2, the last match on center court, and that was Triborn and Trevor Crabb. They lost to Andy Benish and Nick Lucena.
In straight sets. Evan Corey and Billy Kalinsky is the one that's definitely standing out. They took down the 8th seed, Allen and K Spear, in their first round, and then took down the #1 seed in just 2 sets. That was the Theo Brunner and Kame Schulk matchup. So now they will face the #5 seed in Buttinger and Field. Brewster and Friend also the 13th seed, having won over Taylor and Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander.
I've never seen Dave smile this much in his life. I only smile, John.
You heard it there, Hyden saying, I've never seen him smile that much. David Lee, one of the friendliest on tour. I think he's always smiling.
Said I'm an optimistic human here. That was pretty funny. John said, he goes, you do actually smile quite a bit.
And this way. Thank you for being a baller. So good.
Wow, David Lee is on fire.
He's feeling himself right now.
I don't know if the mics have been turned up a little more sensitive, but I didn't hear this out of him yesterday. And telling his partner, thank you for being a baller.
He must
right there and a lot of chest bumps. Seen the King Kong. And a nice roll shot by Weber right there, but very entertaining right now. Lee having a great time.
You must ask Casey Patterson where all the microphones were. 16-0.
It's always fun to get the audio down on the court, hear what the players are saying.
Weber goes with the jump float. Change up for him.
Line. Yes.
Snaps that as Cody Caldwell down the line.
This is a battle. It's gonna come down to either a couple blocks or serves at the end.
Tight ball.
No, that's so cool.
I think the conversation was, that's so cool, because that's a pretty impressive shot. The fact that Hyden was able to make this ball without using kind of that open-handed fingertip type of a play. I don't know how he just did that.
He kind of is going one way, and it looks like he kind of throws it back with a little finger action, but he does it so quickly that it's kind of disguised.
It's
and
like in between.
Yeah, it's hard as a referee. And there's a little outside shot down the line by David Lee, and this one's just going back and forth. We're gonna have overtime for sure in this first set.
Ooh, we've had all sorts of guarantees here in Atlanta and Fort Lauderdale. Apparently Dane Blanton is one in the same, making his own. 18-17 now. Got to clear the mechanism there. Few extra missed serves from Caldwell in this first set. Open net, but John Hyden says easy.
Come on.
Off the chest, it's got to go over. Getting some help from the top of the net.
Yeah. Retire.
Weber finds the corner.
Beautiful save by David Lee. That left hand over the net. Great reaction time right there to keep that ball alive. But Hyden and Weber make them pay. Can't give them too many opportunities. Check this out right here for our Wilson play of the day. Johnny Hyden.
Come on, come on.
That ball's up, and there's that left by David Lee. Keeps it in play, but Weber scores with a cross-court roll.
Nice job by Weber there to get back up. There's the chest play. An extended rally right now. And I love this. Caldwell is just stuck in the sand at this point, trying to catch his breath. David Lee had his hands on his knees. One of the longest rallies of the match. Caldwell has lost his hat. Everyone catching their breath. Hyden at the back line as well.
Yeah, what happened to Caldwell's hat?
I think it got chucked.
I don't see it anywhere on the sand or in the rest area, but he's okay with it.
It is set point for Hyden and Weber. Tough serve to the left shoulder of Caldwell. That's a tough play to make, and he executed beautifully.
The fact that it hit the top of the net, anytime you cut that ball and it hits the top of the net, it has a pretty good chance of rolling out of bounds, but he just put a real soft touch on it.
So 19-20, and I like this right here. John Hyden calling a timeout. They just need one side out to get set number one, and I like this. You have a chance to gather, maybe come up with a game plan, but more than anything, catch your breath before your one opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't like it?
I mean, I don't think either way is wrong or right. It's sometimes you got a flow going,
yeah.
And sometimes when you call a timeout, it puts a little bit too much focus on this next play. You know?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good point you make. But here's a look at that long rally as we were going through the Wilson volleyball play of the day. Here is the one that took place that took everyone's breath away and maybe forced this time out here by Hyden and Weber. Catch their breath. There's the hat. It's gone. See it just in the sand. Now we know. It is 19-20. Back out of the timeout. Hyden and Weber are the first on the sand.
Yeah, back to what we were referring to. You need one side out. It's very important. You call a timeout. Sometimes, I mean, because you look at it both ways. Sometimes you'll call that timeout as the serving team to maybe try to ice the side out team.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's actually the side out team that's calling it. So it's interesting.
Depends on what you need.
Yeah.
Or what you want.
Well, let's see if they came up with something that will be successful.
On Weber.
Cody, come on, come on, come on.
And I believe that was real close to the antenna. Another one. And set number one to Hyden and Weber. I'm surprised that didn't get called off the antenna there in the middle of the net.
Yeah, I think it was just too close to call, and I'm glad they let it go, and then, you know, maybe they talk about it after.
21-19, just 2 points of difference. Who will get set number two?
The AVP is brought to you by Sky Vodka, made with water enriched by Pacific minerals for a fresher tasting vodka and soda. By Waste Management, from recycling to renewable energy, we're working hard for a sustainable tomorrow. By Monster Hydro, hard charging hydration. And by Terramana Small Batch Tequila, bring on the mana.
We could fight and find our freedom. You and I, the sky, the moon, and the light was just a ride. Share a little love, share a little love. Learn to respect one another. We could find a way to make another day brighter now that we got each other.
Dear Mainland, aloha. My brother and I hear lots of you have discovered a real Hawaiian favorite, Big Wave Golden Ale. That's the good kind of stuff, yeah, bro. Maybe it's the island flavor that makes each sip taste like a little vacation.
Got your beers here.
That's a whole lot of little vacations right there, huh, brother? That's like a big vacation. Retirement. One life, right? Mahalo. Big Wave Golden Ale from Kona Brewing.
Welcome back to beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Here at Atlantic Station, set number 1 is in the books. Hyden and Weber victorious after hitting 500. No blocks, no aces, but they were consistent and able to win set number 1, 21-19 over Caldwell and Lee, who really started set number 1 on fire. Remember, we're in the contenders bracket here. Both of these teams lost. Hyden and Weber, they lost to Benish and Lucena 10-15 in the third set. That happening yesterday. And the duo of Cody Caldwell and David Lee, they ended up losing to Tri Bourne and Trevor Crabb in straight sets, 22-24 and 13-21. But that puts us here in the contenders bracket, or the snake pit. You win, you advance, you lose, and you are eliminated. This is the first AVP Gold Series in the 2022 season, the first of 3, that is. The next one will take place in Manhattan Beach, and finally the third Gold Series taking place in Chicago over Labor Day weekend. John Hyden back to serve, 49 years of age. Preferred target is Caldwell. There's Weber up at the net with a block, and then the snap down. So Logan Weber, 26-year-old out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, doing his thing and making his presence felt up at the net.
All right, Dane, walk me through the, I don't know what to call John Hyden's serve, but he kind of just hits it off the heel of his hand.
The layup drill. He's off of 1 foot.
We talk so much about service pressure, but why might somebody, what's the thought there as he adds a little bit pace on that one and slapping it over?
Come on, Johnny.
What's the thought there? He just trusts his defense to play? What are you thinking?
No, I like that. I mean, it's definitely a jump float. It's a rendition of the jump float. You usually don't see it off of 1 foot. And the way he actually does it would be great for a blocker, because he could continue on all the way onto the net. But he's a defender, and there's a double contact there. But we talk so much about different types of serves, different styles. It's kind of interesting. He runs in and goes off 1 foot, and the toss is really low.
But it's elevated too. It's kind of got the loop to it.
He hits it pretty flat, so it gives it the opportunity to move. But it's definitely a little unorthodox. I don't know of anyone else who serves it quite like that. But I bet Johnny, I bet if we ask him, he'll tell us an entire scientific answer.
Guaranteed.
And the study that has been done that gives him an advantage. Look at that short serve.
Nice block from Weber, and it's actually pretty deceptive, right? Because it has a couple different looks. and tempos that you'll see.
Is that score right? This is crazy. 7-0. You do not see that at this level very often. 6-1 maybe, and that's a beatdown. 5-2, but 7-0. Caldwell and Lee have gone ice cold.
Which is quite remarkable in this weather.
Just trying to clue Cameron in on the 7-0, and she's like, oh, this is just regular. It's a regular, normal set.
Hey, this is my 5th season on tour. I feel like I've started to you know, get accustomed to wild things.
7-0. That is not a hole you want to be digging yourself out of.
Here's Caldwell. There it is.
That's got to feel good to get on the board. But that's what happens. Sometimes you see that Hyden and Weber played it perfectly. We kind of questioned, I kind of questioned the timeout by John Hyden before that final side out. But he knew exactly what he was doing. And not only that, he kind of froze the opposition because since that time, they've gone silent. He gets the side out, wins the first set, and then goes up 7-0. So John Hyden getting wiser each and every year out here.
And the seam right there. Johnny clapping his hands together. Feels like he maybe had the wrong read.
Yeah, it looked like he slid into the sharper angle, and that ball was hit deeper. Going back to the point how we talk about hitting those deep corners is always very effective.
Still 8-2 now. 6-point advantage remains. And another missed serve for Caldwell. At what point do you start to make a change there?
In terms of the serve? Or
It's his 4th missed serve.
Yeah. Trying to stay aggressive, trying to score some points, but sometimes you get out there and you just don't have the serve that you want. Look at the timing of Weber just throwing it down with the left hand. He saw that coming, anticipated it, and just got up and threw it.
I like that slap shot right there, the fingertip roll. David Lee with a look, far to the right. He likes attacking from the antenna. And this is a match out of the contenders bracket, so it is win or go home for these two teams. Nice communication there from John. Overpass. Lee trying to do all that he can just to slow it down.
11-3 side change. And it really has gone quiet. Remember all the talk between David Lee and John Hyden about David Lee smiling, having a good time, talking about being an optimistic human. And John Hyden has elevated his game and really made it get quiet on the side of Caldwell and Lee.
And just on cue, though, nice little play from David Lee. Pulls the smile back out. Going off the hands of Weber.
I think he was happy he got away with that, and that didn't get thrown back. It was
in his face.
Served up on a platter.
Logan Weber, not only a volleyball player, but also there's a 5th missed serve, but also an accountant. Works about 20 or so hours a week in that regard, maybe a few more. But he also serves as an accountant for 20 or so churches across the country. So if you need your bookkeeping done, talk to Logan.
Line. Yes, nice job. Good work.
Way up there down the line. Swing coach Caldwell 5-2.
5-12 now. Need to find some rhythm.
You got to shake it up. I know Caldwell has been trying to get his serve going, but a lot of missed serves. And there's David Lee. That's a nice, tough serve, but John Hyden makes it look easy. what a set.
What a swing.
Wow.
Okay, you go first. Talk to me about the set.
Well, I mean, you saw Hyden as he's facing off the court about 10 feet off the net, sets it over his head backwards and puts it right on the money. Here's a good look at it. Look at this. He's moving one way. It's a kind of a side set, very difficult to judge and put that exactly where he did. And that was nice. You know what I say on that? Sometimes I say the set hit itself. So, I mean, I'm not giving a ton of credit for the receiver. I mean, that was...
You still had to get in position.
It was a great hit by Weber. I give him that. But that set was really, really solid. I like how you finished that.
You know.
Good job.
It's almost like we worked together a few times. Big block, just draping his hands along the length of the net. That's Logan Weber.
He's sealing the net so well. Oftentimes you see a hit like that and it kind of squeaks in between the blocker and the net, but there's just no space there, and that's to credit Logan Weber, really pressing over.
From off the net, I really like that swing from Caldwell.
We're going to take our technical timeout.
15-6 now as we hit a technical timeout. The midway point, Hyden and Weber doing some very solid work here in set number 2. Looking to close it out and move on in the contenders bracket. We've talked so much about the Olympians out on the sand. Now they're highlighted. John Hyden in 96 as well as 2000. David Lee was an Olympic gold medalist in 2008, not to mention making it in 2012 as well as 2016. I believe there was a bronze in there as well. Paul Lottman, he's out on the sand as well, doing some steady work, a part of that 2012 and 2016 group. And Taylor Sander, 2016 and 2020. This is all indoor, as well as Rich Lamborn, who's now in a coach's role, as well as up in our broadcast position in 2008 as 2012. So a lot of switches from the indoor game to the beach volleyball game. Dane? Lottman and Partain just took down Phil and Casey. And Lottman and Partain are a team that continues to just get better and better. Speaking of indoor players, both Lottman and Partain coming from the indoor game. Partain still competing at UCLA.
Yeah, he can ride his ticket whatever direction he wants to go, indoor, on the beach. But, you know, going back, I was looking at that graphic of the indoor Olympians now playing on the beach, and just jumped off the page. John Hyden played in the 1996 Olympics. Think about that for a minute.
The first year beach volleyball was in the Olympics.
Yep.
He was playing indoor at the time, but isn't that correct?
Yeah, but just the fact of the matter, he's still playing on the court right now, and he played in the Olympics in '96, which were held here in Atlanta, and it's kind of miraculous. That was 26 years ago.
It's wild to think about.
Johnny Hyden looking strong and playing extremely well, dictating the pace of this one.
Nice dig. Spun a ton, but second chance. Oh. David Lee trying to give a little grief. His ribs popping out too far. That's what hit the net. 16-6.
Yeah, I'm trying to equate those numbers and kind of digest those numbers, like Megan Kraft, who's in this, Haley Harward, Julia Scholes. When he was playing in '96, they weren't even born.
I was 4.
It's crazy. It's crazy to still be out on the court and doing it at this level. John Hyden, such an example of the possibilities if you take care of yourself.
That ball finding the back line as well, 17-7. Now they're just trying to get off the sand as quickly as possible because they've got a few more matches to go. If they can close out 4 additional points. Pulling up the bracket now to see who they might have to face. Nice shot from Caldwell.
Yeah, they'd have 2 more matches today, and they'd face
Brewster and Friend, the number 13 seed. Right here in the 4 o'clock hour, so that would be just 2 hours from now. They'd face the 13 seed on Stadium Court.
No traction here for David Lee and Caldwell. They started the match really solid and bringing the fire, but they have been quieted, trailing by 10. This is just a matter of time in this one. And it's interesting how it's almost a different team than we saw early in that first set.
Without doubt.
That's what the Heat will do. That's what a lot of missed serves will do as well. They're trying to get that traction, trying to get things moving. It just hasn't happened for them. I look at a team like this and I say, wow, they're close, you know. Keep playing.
Well, and especially at the level of which both of them have played on the indoor space. And their athleticism, the height they bring to the beach, all of those combined. I mean, there's a reason they won in Atlantic City.
It's true. And like I was saying, when they lost yesterday to Tryon and Trevor, 22-20 in that first, if they win that first set, they may be looking at an entire different tournament. And that's what can happen here. 1 or 2 points can really sway and turn the tide, and you never know when those points are going to happen. That's why I say you got to go all out on every play.
Those could be the 2 to turn it. 10-19 now. That's a tough serve. What a set! Cody Caldwell.
Jeez. Like I said earlier, Cody Caldwell not afraid to set any ball out there. He was flying to the back line, I think fully in the air and airborne when he set that ball about 30 feet the other direction.
Over his shoulder.
It was awesome.
Behind his back. That was wild. It's match ball for Hyden and Weber. And that's it. Quickly done. 21-19, 21-10. Hyden and Weber are moving on. Caldwell and Lee get to go cool off.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to Hyden and Weber. They made adjustments and really turned up the heat on Caldwell and Lee and just didn't give them any breathing room at the end. And that 7-0 start in the second set was something special. You start 7-0, it's very difficult to dig yourself out of that hole. So like I said, they were right there, and I like that team of Caldwell and Lee. Just need to maybe put in a little more time together and
a little more time on the sand.
Yeah, clean up the chemistry, and they're 1 or 2 swings away from an entirely different tournament.
Yeah, without a doubt. We'll hopefully get a chance to see those guys back out on the AVP Tour playing alongside one another. But moving on, our Logan Weber and John Hyden, they'll face Brewster and Friend, the team that took down some giants in the first round of tournament play here in Atlanta. We've got plenty more volleyball to come here on this Survival Saturday. Speaking of surviving, we've got the women's contenders bracket up next here on Stadium Court coverage. Who will be moving on from the top level? Logan Weber and John Hyden successful in this one. Look at that. Whether it's the swing, the block, Weber finishes it off. There's a look at your final match stats. for the 15 seed as well as the 10 seed. The efficiency always sticking out in terms of win and loss. And service errors not going to help in terms of Caldwell and Lee. So there's the bug. Thanks for joining me, Dane. I think it might be time to go grab some lunch. We'll be back around for the rest of the day.
Thank you.